Hello everyone. In this mini series, we're going to be creating a music relaxation app. I'll just give you a quick demonstration of what we're going to be creating. So there's going to be two buttons here. So the first one is for playlists. The second one is for sound effects control. I'm just going to click on the playlist one, and then you're going to see a list of playlists. And then each playlist is going to have a list of songs. You can select any songs in each playlist. And then we can also play the songs. And yeah, we can also manage the volume of the song here. And we can go next. We can pause and play. We can go previous. And then here also you're going to see the active song that is playing. And here we can manage the sound effects for the background. Okay, so I've muted the song. I'm just also going to reduce the volume of these effects. We can also change the scene of our video. We can select different videos depending on the category. So for example, sunshine, and also some rainy scenes. We can add the sound effects. We can also add fire. Okay, so now I'm just going to reduce the volume, and we can also go full screen and also not full screen. This is also mobile responsive. Let's go to mobile screen size, and we can change the scenes. As you can see, it's looking great on mobile, and the layout is fine. Nothing is overlapping. And yeah, this is what we're going to be creating in this mini series. If you have any questions, just let me know from the contact section. You can send me an email. If you want to send me a suggestion, just let me know in the email. If you have anything you want to know, just let me know from the email. Just go to the contact section and email me. And yeah, I'll see you in the videos. All right, so now navigate to the folder where you want to save your project in. In this case, I have a folder already created. You can open the folder from the File tab. And then I'm going to open the terminal. So we're going to create our project using vit. I'm just going to paste in the command. So it's npm create vit at latest, and then the name of the application. And then the template is going to be React TypeScript. So I'm just going to change the name of the app. You can name this whatever you want. Relaxation, maybe music, something like that. You can name this whatever you want. And then let's press enter. And then yes for Y. Let's say no. So for this one, just say yes, and it will create the project. Okay, so once the project is created, we can go into that project by cd into that project. I'm just waiting for it to finish installing. Okay, so yeah, now the project is running. We can stop this from running for now. And then I'm just going to cd into the project. And then now we are in the project. Okay, so to run, we're going to use npm run dev. That's what we're going to be using to run our project. And we can view this in the browser. So this is my active browser. So now I'm just going to open the project. And here's what we have. So this is just the default setup. And let's see what we have in the setup. So we have the main and we have the app. Okay, and for us to do the styles, we want to be able to use Tailwind CSS. For example, if I do class name, if I set the text color, maybe I want to set it to red 500, like that. So right now it's not working because we don't have Tailwind CSS installed. So we need to set that up. Okay, so what we're going to do, we're going to install Tailwind as a dev dependency. Let's go to the terminal again. Let's stop the project from running. So to install Tailwind CSS as a dev dependency, we run npm install -d, that's dev, and then Tailwind CSS. and then at tailwindcss/vit. And then we're going to install that. Okay, so once that's installed, so we can look at the package.json and look at the dependencies. We should be able to see Tailwind CSS in the dev dependencies. And what we're going to do now in the vit config in here, we want to be able to import Tailwind CSS. So we're going to run import Tailwind CSS like this. And then we are going to import from Tailwind CSS. So tail, make sure it's correct spelling from, and then here we are going to choose at Tailwind CSS/vit like that. Okay, so in here, export default, define config. So we have React, and then the next one is going to be Tailwind CSS like that. Perfect. And yeah, that's pretty much the setup for Tailwind CSS. Let's see if it's working now. We need to rerun the project again. npm run dev. And let's refresh the project. All right, so seems like nothing happens. Oops, let's see. Let's refresh. So text read 500. Okay, let's see why it's not working. So vit config. I'm just looking if we've missed anything. Oh, actually, we need to import the Tailwind CSS in our index file. Okay, so let's go to index CSS. So in the root here, we need to import at import. So we're going to be importing Tailwind CSS like this. So that's what's going to allow us to use it. Tailwind CSS like that. And let's refresh. As you can see now, our Tailwind CSS is working. We have colored this title. Okay, perfect. Now I'm just going to do some cleanup. I'm just going to remove everything in here and start from a fresh project. Let's remove everything. Remove everything here. And then we're just going to leave the Tailwind CSS like that. And also in the app.js, we're just going to remove everything. And we're going to remove all of the state. And here we're just going to return a div like that and remove the state. And we can put an h1 here saying hello world like that. Okay, perfect. And let's refresh. As you can see, we have the text, and we can also use Tailwind CSS to style text red 500. Now there's autocorrect, and you see it's working. By the way, if you don't have Tailwind CSS set up, if it's not auto-completing, you need an extension. So if we go to the extensions, we can look for an extension. I think it's this one, the IntelliSense here. So that's the extension I'm using for auto-completion. This is Tailwind fold as well. It will fold the classes and hide the Tailwind CSS classes if they're too long. Okay, so now we've removed everything in the main. We don't need to remove anything in the main yet, but the index we've removed, and then we don't need this app.css here. It's not needed, so we can delete that. Actually, for now, let's just leave it. Let's leave it. And then if we need it later, we'll use it. Okay, but for now, let's leave it. Actually, let's just remove it because it's just junk. All right, so now we've done the setup. Our Tailwind CSS is working. And yeah, that's it for the main setup. I'll see you on the next video. Okay, so in this video, we're going to set up our assets. So to download our assets, we're going to be using a website called Icons8. Icons8. And we're going to be searching for the icons we're going to be using. So for example, we need a play icon. So this is the play icon, but the style, let's look at the styles we have. We need a doodle style. So, and then we can select the style, and then it's going to filter. So the play buttons, they're going to be in a doodle format. And then we can see we have a play button here. And then you can download the play button You can download the PNG version for free from Icons 8. We also want the next icon. So it's in a doodle format. And then you can see there's some icons here. And we also want the sound. Here's some icons for the sound. And then you can just download as a PNG image. I've already downloaded these icons. So we're going to create a folder called assets in the source directory. We already have a folder for assets anyway. So I'm just going to put some icons in here, a folder called icons that we're going to be using. So if you want the starter code, you can get it from GitHub. So these icons have already been downloaded and renamed for you. So you can just download these icons from GitHub to get started. And then once we have icons, the other thing that we want is images. So we can get images from Pixabay, I believe. That's the name of the site. You can get a lot of free assets here. So we can look for nature cover or just nature in general. And then there's going to be some nice images. Yeah, you can select whatever style you want. If you want a video, images, whatever. So here you can select illustrations, and then you can download whatever art style that you want. So I've already downloaded some images that I'm going to be using. You can download your own images. You can use your own images if you want, or you can get this from GitHub to get started. So I'm just going to paste in some images. So these are just some images here that I've downloaded. All right, so we have images. So the next thing that we want is going to be the sound, the music. We can also search music here. I believe we can go to, there's videos, there's music. Yeah, we can search music. So nature, you can download any of these songs for free from here. So I've already downloaded some songs. You can download your own music there. And I'm just going to paste in some music in the assets directory in the folder called music folder. So here are some music items that I have. And the other thing that we want is the sound effects. So here we can also change from music to sound effects. And then you can download some sound effects, some wind, some fire, anything that you want. And I'm just going to paste in the folder with the sound effects. The sound effects are in a folder called SFX, sound effects. All right, so we have the sound effects. So the next thing that we want is videos. So I can search for maybe anime, something like that. And then we're going to change from sound effects to videos. And you will find some interesting videos. I don't know, anything that you're looking for. Animated, loop. You can just filter whatever videos you're looking for. And then you can download whatever videos you want. Or you can use the videos I've already downloaded. It took me a while to search whatever I wanted to use. And then the videos are in the videos folder. I'm just going to get rid of this React. Actually, I'll just leave it for now. All right, so we have the folders, we have our assets. So we have covers, we have icons, we have music, we have sound effects, and then we have videos. We can play these videos if you want to check them out. You can see what they look like. You can just play them. Okay. And yeah, that's it for the setup for the assets. In the next video, we're going to actually start building our app. And I'll see you on the next video. Now that we have our assets, we need to set up the data using those assets. So what we're going to do, let's create a folder called types. So let's just do that in the source. And then it's going to be types. So we are going to have a song. And the song is going to have a name, title, artist, and also the source where the asset is coming from. We're also going to have a video category, a sound effect, and a music category. So let's create our types. So in here, I'm just going to name this types, .ts, types, let's name it types. So here we're just setting up the data to make it ready for us to be able to start building our app. Okay, so we're going to have a type of song. And the song is going to have an ID. And the ID is going to be a string. And we also want something like a title of the song. And this is also going to be a type of string. Type song, it should be an equal sign here, like that, type song. And we also want the artist of the song, artist. And the type of the artist is going to be also be a string. And we also want the source src, where the asset is coming from. Let's just do that as a string as well. So we have a song, and we also have a video category type, video category. So let me show you what I mean. So if I open the live project running in the background, I'm just going to open that. There's these categories here. So this is the category. So we can select the categories. So, okay, so what I'm going to do for the category, we are going to have an ID, which is also a string, and we also have a category. This is going to be a string as well. And we also have an array of videos. So each category is going to have a video. So it's going to be an array of strings. String. Okay, so like that. So we also need an icon. It's going to be a string type as well. String. All right, so this should be like that. So we have the video category. The other thing that we want is a sound effect. So as you can see here, if I open the sound effects, there's the sound effect. There's also the title. So type, and it's going to be maybe sound effect. Oh, I'm so terrible at typing. Sound effect, like that. And then we're going to have ID of string, name of string, and then we also have the music category type. This is going to be music category. So here we're going to have ID, it's going to be string, and we also have category, and then the type is going to be also string, and we have the music. So the music is going to be an array of type song. Okay, so we have the song already, so it's going to be an array of songs. Song array, and then finally we're going to have the cover, which is going to be the string, the cover, which is the image, and it's going to be a string, like that. And then we need to export this, export type, and then we're just basically going to export everything in the type. So we're going to export song, music category, and sound effects, like that. So we have the types, and the other thing that we want, we need to sort out our data. I'll just create a folder called data to make it much more cleaner. So data, and let's start with video category data. Here, video category data.ts, like that. Okay, so in the video category data, I'm just going to import the icon, the videos for that particular category. All right, so let's start with, let's create an array of our data. So this should be video category data, and the type is going to be type of video category, video category type, and it's going to import from types, and it's going to be an array of this, like that. All right, so the first object, we're going to have an ID. So for ID for now, I'm just going to put it 1. We're going to replace this later. And then category, we can name this whatever we want. So in this case, it's going to be sunshine. And we need an array of videos. So what do we have for videos? We don't have anything yet. And we also want an icon. We don't have an icon yet. All right, so let's import these. So we need an array of videos. So ID, the type of string, but we've put a number here. So for now, let's put a string like this. All right, so we need to import some icons and also some videos. Let's start with icon. So let's start with the sunshine icon. Actually, let's start with the videos. So for now, I'm going to import a video called cat sunshine, like that. And then it's going to be coming from assets. It's going to be coming from videos cat sunshine. So that's the name of the asset. And it's going to be the first video, cat sunshine, like that. And then the other video, it's going to be sunset sunshine. Sunset sunshine, like that. So make sure this is the correct spelling. Sunset sunshine from, and then this is going to be coming from assets, videos, sunset sunshine. So this should be import like that. All right. And let's put the video. All right. That's that. We're missing an icon for this one. So we need to import an icon. Import icon sunshine from assets, icons, like that. So now we have an icon. We can pass in the icon here, icon sunshine, like that. And then we just need to export default, and then the name, video, categories, data. So this is going to be the model of what is going to be the model of our categories. This is what they're going to look like. So we are going to add more categories. So for now, I'm just going to, I'll paste the rest of the data here and the inputs. So I'm going to explain what's happening on the ID. All right, so ID is set to UUID. So this is going to generate a random ID. We need to also install the package. So if we go to npm, like that, the package before, let's do this one. So here, as you can see, it's going to generate us a random ID, something like this, a random key. So we're just going to install that, copy the command, go to the terminal, and then install. And then we need to import v4 UUID like this. I'm just going to put it at the top here, like that. So we're importing UUID, and then for ID, it's going to generate a random string. All right, so here are the rest of the categories where we have snow, videos, icon. So we have rain, night owl. So you can add as many categories as you want. But in this case, these are only the categories that we have. Perfect. So we're going to use the same format. We're going to do the same thing for sound effects, SFX data.ts, like that. We're going to basically do the same thing, like importing, but we're going to be using the sound effect type, like that. So we need to import the type. So this is going to be an array of sound effects. So remember, a sound effect, it has an ID. It also has a source and a name. What we're going to do, I'm just going to paste in the rest of the data here because it's just importing the effects, sound effects. So here are the sound effects that we have. So we have rain. We have the rain sound effect. Okay, and let's see. Assets. Is it getting in the correct folder? Yeah, it is. So we have imported the assets. We also need to export default here. Export the data, SFX data, like that. So this should be default, like that. Okay, so now we need to do our objects for the assets. So in here, we have our assets. So we have the ID. You can use UUID, by the way, for the ID, instead of manually putting the ID like this. And then, yeah, we have the source. So here are the sound effects we have here. You can add as many as you want. And we're going to do the same thing for the music. Let's name this music categories. Categories.ts. All right, so let's go to the music. And I'm just going to import all of the music. We have a lot of music. You can import as many as you can, as many as you want. But in the next chapter or in the next lesson, I'm going to do a backend system where we're going to be getting the songs from the backend instead of manually doing this. All right, so now we also need to create the array. the array of the music category. So make sure you import music category type. I'll just put this at the top. You import the music category type from the types. Okay, so it's importing from here. Let's go back. So let's paste in our, I'm just going to paste in, not let's paste in, I'm just going to paste in the data. So the categories, as you remember, each category has an ID, category, music. Music is an array of songs. Each category has an array of songs. You can edit as many songs as you want per category. So I'm just going to paste. So here are our categories. So we have a sleep category, and it has an array of songs, music here, and it shows whatever music it has, and also a cover image. Okay, so yeah, it's importing the stuff here. Let's see, there's an error here. Okay, because you have not exported this. So if I go to the bottom, I'm just going to export this. Export default music categories, like that. Okay, so here we're just importing the assets here, and then the images coming from the cover. Okay, so yeah, that's basically it. We have the music, the category setup, and now the thing that's left to do, we need to start actually building our app. We have set up our data, it's ready, and I'll see you on the next video. All right, let's start building our application. Let's go to the browser. I'm just going to close this page. Let's go to our app. All right, so let's start in the app.tsx. Let's open the file, and we're just going to set up the layout. I'm just going to change this to main, and let's give it a class name. So for the class name, let's give a position of relative. So if we position anything in this body, it's going to be relative to the main. And we are also going to give it height of screen. So that means we want it to cover the entire viewport. So that's 100 VH, which is the entire viewport of the screen, the height. For the background, we can just give it a black background color. And we're just going to set overflow to hidden. Overflow to hidden. All right, so now we have we need to make sure our project is running. So we need to run npm run dev to make sure it's running. So as you can see, it's now running. So the background is red, black, and the text is red. Okay, so let's start with the video. For the video player, let's create a component for the video player. In here, I'm just going to collapse the folders, and I'm going to create a new folder. Let's name this components. And in here, I'm going to create a video player, player.tsx, and then I'm going to create a component. I use a shortcut to create a React functional component and export like this. If you don't have this extension, it's called React snippets, I think. Oh, this one, ES7 plus React Redux snippets. So you're going to do some shortcuts to create components. And I'm just going to get rid of this, and we're going to render the video player in here. All right, so now we should see a video player component showing here. For some reason, we don't see it. So I'm just going to open video player. Interesting. I think it's because the text is black. That's why we don't see it, but it's there. So we can also set the default text color to white. For example, you can say text white like that. As you can see, it's white now if you want, but I'll just leave it as it is for now. Let's open up the video player and let's start working in here. So in here, let's start by styling this. Let's do class name and position. We're going to give it a fixed because we want it to cover the entire width and height of our viewport. Okay, so let's give it a percent fixed and then insert 0. So basically, it's going to be left 0, top 0, bottom 0. Okay, and then yeah, let's see. We can give it a background color, red. We don't have anything yet. As you can see now, it's covering the whole viewport width and height. Sweet. So we need to create a state for our videos. All right, so let's go back to the app. Let's see. So here we need to create a state. Let's name it maybe current video or active video. No. Let's name it current video. I think current video would be the best name for the state. Okay, so actually let's name it active video. Active video, like that. And then we're going to set active video. And we're going to import use state. So we're going to be able to change the state. So the type of the active video is going to be string or no. It's either going to be a string or it's going to be no. All right. So initially, we are going to select the first video. By the way, if I go to, let's see, let me import the video categories data first. Video categories data. And then we're going to select the first category like that. And then videos. So each category is an array of videos. And then we're going to select the first video of that category. So let's see the structure for data. So here, as you can see, videos is an array. Videos category data is also an array. So this array, we're selecting the first element, which is this one. And then in this element, we're selecting the first element of the videos property, which is Cat Sunshine. That's the first video. So the first video, by the way, this is a string, which is the path of the video. Okay, so we're selecting the first path. And we can console log this. Console. I'm just going to use a shortcut. Let's say video path. And you see the path here if I do active video. If I open up the inspect, I'm just going to get rid of the mobile view. And if you go to console, you can see the path of the video. So this is the path of the asset. So that's what we're basically setting in this array. So this video player, it's also going to take in the path. It's also going to take in the active video. So I'm just going to set video to active video like that. But we also need to go to the video player and create an interface for that video. For props, and then the type of video, it's going to be either a string or no, like that. And then here we are going to destructure the video player. So it's actually the props here. So we're just going to destructure here from the props. All right. So in this body, we want to showcase the video. So how do we do that? So we're just going to check if we have the current video. Oh, by the way, we don't have current video yet, but we need to. So we have video. So we have already the asset video already. So let's just display the video for now. Actually, let's display the video for now. Video. Let's do video like this. So this is a video element. We can display the video. Let's make it as a self-closing tag. And then we can add some properties here. Oops. So the properties that we want. So we want it to loop. Okay, so we want the video to loop. Also, we want the source to be, let's set it to video for now, or an empty string. And then we have loop. So we want it to autoplay to be, we want it to play by default. Auto play, like that. So we have autoplay. So we also want it to be muted. We don't want the video to have sound. Muted. All right. And the other thing that we might also want the class name for the video. But let's see if we have something. So as you can see, we have a video on the screen. Okay. The video seems to be not playing. Oh yeah, now it's playing. So refresh the page. So autoplay is working. As you can see, the video is working fine. It's playing. And we're also going to style this video. So we are going to set the object cover. So for example, if I go to smaller screens, the video might not, as you can see, it's not really fitting in properly. So we need to set the object to cover. and then we're going to set width and height to full. So it's going to cover the entire width and height. As you can see now, it's covering the entire width and height. All right, perfect. So we have set that. Now, what we need to do, we need to have local state for the video here. Let's name it the local state current video. Once, oops, not double. It's just like this, current video. And then we're just going to set it to the video coming from the props here. And then here, we will use the current video like that. Instead of using the, actually, let's not do empty strings. We use the current video. So the current video is just going to be a string or no as well. Okay, so, oops. So by the way, when we change the video, the reason we're doing local state, we want to be able to re-render whenever we change the video. That's why we're doing state here. All right, so when we change the current video, it's going to change. So what we're going to do, we're going to do a use effect. Let's just say handle video change use effect. So use effect is it's going to take in a callback function in here. Okay, so we have use effect, and also it's going to have some dependency array. So in the dependency array, whenever the video changes, so we want to trigger re-render like that. All right, so let's just do an empty string then. All right, so we're going to trigger a re-render whenever the video changes. We're just going to check if we don't have the video. If there's no video, we're just going to return. Okay, it's not going to execute anything that comes after here. So that's what the return does. Anything after the return, it's not going to be executing. Okay. So I'm just going to give this a ref as well. Ref. We can just give this video ref because I want to get the ref of this video element here. So this is how we're going to select this item. Video ref. Okay. So to create a ref, let's do up here. Const video ref. We need to import use ref. That's how we're going to create a video ref. Okay, and it's going to be no initially, like that. Perfect. And here we're going to check if we do have something in the ref, video ref dot current. Oops. So we dot current. So by the way, when we're selecting a video, there's a fading animation, as you can see, this fading animation here. So that's what we want to do. We want to do a fading animation as well. So let's create a state for the fade as well. So fade, set fade. So it's a type of Boolean. By the way, we're going to do react.use state. We can directly import this instead of doing react dot like that. We import state like that. So we have fade. So we are going to fade out. We're going to set fade to true. All right, like that. So we fade. What is it complaining about? We're going to fix that. Okay, and then we're going to wait for the fade out animation. Let's just set transition to complete, finishing the video. And then we're going to put a timeout. So timeout is just like a delay. And then set timeout. Timeout, there's no autocomplete for timeout. Set timeout. It's also going to take in a callback function. So the duration, this one, I'm just going to put 100 milliseconds. You can put as much as you want here. Let's get rid of this. So we have a timeout. And then we're going to set the current video to the video. And then set fade to false. And then video. We're going to play the video as well. Video.ref .current .play, and then we're going to play the video. And then we need to clean up this timeout here. So we need to clean it up after this. And then we're just going to return clear timeout. And then we're just going to clear that timeout. Okay, so let's see what it's complaining about. Video ref .current fade out, fade to true. Synchronize between external Okay, so calling state in a condition can cause some infinite re-renders. Okay, don't just ignore this for now. We're going to fix this later. Don't worry about it. All right, so we've cleaned the timeout, so we don't have to keep it in the DOM. All right, so yeah, seems to be good. Now, the other thing that we want to fix is fade. So what we're going to do is we're going to do some conditional styling here. Oops. So let's use template literals to do styling. And this is how we do. So we're going to check for the state fade. If it's true, we are going to set opacity to 0. And then if not, we're going to set opacity to 100, like that. So there's a fade effect. And for now, we also need to transition opacity. So there's a nice transition. And then the duration, let's set it to 200 or 100. Let's set 100 to match here. All right. So now let's save that. Let's go to our app and let's refresh. Okay. So it's nice. It's looking good. Not bad. Okay. So let's go back to the app.js. So we have our videos. And now let's work on the functionality to switch between the videos, like here. So let's display these categories here. Okay, we'll display the categories first, and then we're going to sort out the changing of the video. All right, so let's go back to app. Let's start with the buttons at the top. All right. Actually, I'll do that in the next video. I'll see you in the next video. So next up, we're going to be working on this functionality. We can open up the videos and we can change the category, and we can also select the video that we want to play. So let's work on that functionality now. Let's go back to the app.tsx. Let's start by creating a div. I'm just going to create it above the video player. And let's give it a class name. All right, so for this div, I'm going to position absolute this because I want it to be at the top here. So position absolute is we can position anything, position an element anywhere we want on the page. We can just specify where we want it to be. And I am going to use absolute positioning, absolute to position this. And then top, it's going to be 4, like that. And then left, it's going to be 50%, left 50%. And then width is going to be fit. So it's not going to overflow our container. So the max width is also going to be 520 pixels, which can be written as max width 130, like this. Max width. So that's the maximum width that we want to be. And we also want to set the minimum width. And we're also going to give it some transition. So the minimum width is 67.5. And change this to, and then flex and flex column, and we're going to set the gap to 2. And then the translate x minus 50% is because we're just going to center it vertically. So left 50% from the left, and then it's going to be centered vertically. So, and then we're going to have a transition for the animation. Now let's save that, and we're going to open up this div here. So in this div, let's add a button for us to be able to open up the panel. So let's do button. We can create a component for this button, but actually, I don't think it's worth it for now, but we can always create a component later that we can reuse for the button. And I'm going to set the empty, that's margin top, to 4, and then flex. So that's display flex, and we're going to item center, justify center. We're going to center everything, soft center, and then we're going to give it a width of fit as well, and then round it to full That's we want it to be a circle, and then we're going to give it a padding of 2, and then we're going to set the cursor to pointer. So when we hover, it's going to have a cursor pointer. And for this one, we're going to use an image inside. And the image, we're going to name this arrow down. So we need to import that image. Import arrow down from assets, icons, arrow down, like that. So we've imported the image, and then we're just going to use that image. And then we're going to give it a class name. So for the class name, let's give it a width of 10. And we're going to give it animate bounce. It's a utility class from Tailwind CSS. And we should be able to see, there it is, it's bouncing. But the thing is, it's black. So we want to make it white. We can use a utility class called invert. It's going to invert that to white. So as you can see, now it's white and it's bouncing. Sweet. So we have our animation. Okay, so now we need a scene control here. So that's the panel. So it's called a scene control. We're going to control our scene. So let's create a state for that so we can control our scene. Let's go up. Const scene control. And then set scene control. And then initially it's going to be false, like that. And then we can check if the scene control is active or not. So when we click, we are basically going to change the scene control from false to true. So let's use some template literals here to style this. We're going to do some conditions to check if the scene control is true. Oops. So we're going to check if it's true, and then we're just going to rotate 180 degrees. Otherwise, it's going to be 0. So if I go back to the original, I can click, it's going to rotate. As you can see, it's rotating. So as you can see, that's what we want to do. That's some conditional styling. All right, so we are rotating, but we need a click functionality for us to be able to control the scene. So it's just changing the state basically. So we can just name it scene control visibility, like that. And it's going to be a function. And here we're just going to set, just changing the state here from the previous to the not previous state. Okay, or we can just do this, control, scene control visible, like that, like that. Okay, perfect. What we can do when we click the button, we need to add on click listener. We are going to add that scene control visibility. Now let's see if it's going to change. Okay, as you can see, it's rotating our icon. Sweet. That means it's working. It's working fine. We can. So now we want to create the actual panel that's going to show when we click. All right. So this button, let's create a div here for the panel, and let's style this div. It's going to, let's do flex, and for this one, actually, let's do. So we have absolute. So actually, this one we're also going to do some conditional styling here, based on the scene control variable. Let's do this. So this whole thing, we are going to translate this whole thing here based on the scene control visible. We want to move it down. So if we click, as you can see, it's moving down. So that's what we want to do. That's what we're aiming to do. Okay, let's do that. So we're going to check if it's true. So if the state is true, we are going to set translate y. We're going to set that to 0. Otherwise, we are going to translate y 80%. So instead of minus, we just translate y. Let's do minus 80%, 80%, 80%, like that. We need to close this properly. All right, so let's see if there's a change. Okay, it's translating, but we're going to fix these issues later. All right, so it's working. So far, so good. Cool. Now let's do the panel. In here, let's do a div. Let's give it a class name. Flex. We're going to set the items to center for that div. And then we're going to give it a border. And we're going to set the border to white. So the border white, and then the opacity, I'm going to set that to 20%. Maybe we can justify center for this one and self-center like that. Okay, so, and we also want to give it a gap. I'm going to set that to 6. And the background, I'm going to do maybe black and opacity 70%. Okay, so we have a gap of 6, opacity 70% of the color black, and then padding X and Y. PY, we're going to set that to 2. Just put padding at the beginning, like this, to make it, yeah. So padding, so we should be good. All right, so now we need to do the categories inside this div. So we need to map through all of the categories. So we're just going to loop through everything. And So for us to be able to loop through, we need to do videos, category data, we're going to map. And then we can name this cut, that's a category. And then we also want to get the index of each category. And then here we can return a div. We can create a component for this div here. We also need to give it a key. So key, we can just set that to the category.id actually. Category.id. All right, so we probably don't need this index. Actually, we are going to use this index later, so we need it. So this one is a type of number. All right, so we should be able to see something. I'm just going to put some random text. As you can see now, we have something. So we have categories. So we have the first category, second, third, and fourth. And now we just need to style this category and add the actual data that we're going to be using. All right, so for each category, this should be a button, actually, a button instead of a div. All right, so, and then we're going to have an image in here, an image, and we are going to do category.icon, category like that. All right, so we should have an icon image, but we need to give it a width. Let's set a class name here. I'm just going to give it a fixed width of 36 pixels. Let's do 36 pixels. Okay, so in Tailwind CSS, it should be width 9. So let's change that to 9. All right, so we have a width 9. And we also want to invert the color. So we want it to be white instead of black. Now let's see. So we should have our icons working fine. And we need to set the cursor to pointer here. Cursor to pointer. Instead of doing this, we can go to the index CSS and do some default styles for buttons. Instead of doing cursor pointer every time. Cursor pointer, if we go back, we don't need to do this cursor pointer anymore. All right, so by default, we should have a cursor pointer. By the way, the active category, it should have this color here, this dot, the green dot here. So let's work on that. So we're going to check if the active category is the index that we click on. All right, so after the image, we're going to check active. Actually, we don't have the class for that yet. So let's create a state for that. Const active. It's going to be called active video category, like that. So for the active video category, let's see what we're going to start with. Okay, so active video category it's going to be an index of 0 at the beginning. So it's going to be type of number here. So type of number, so index is going to be 0. All right. Perfect. And we are going to do the onClick for this button here. And then we're going to set the active video to category videos. And then we're going to select the first video. And then the set active video category, we're going to set that to the index of the current clicked item. Okay, perfect. And so what's happening here is whenever I click a category, it's going to be selecting the first video in that category that is active. So as you can see, the first video of the category is active. It's because that's what we're doing here. Whenever we click a category, it's going to select the video, the first video of that category. So this array here is going to select the first element of that category. All right, so now let's see if we're able to select the category. Open up, select. It seems to be changing, as you can see. It's selecting the first video of that particular category. But now we need to be able to tell which category is active. All right, so we need to dim these icons here and show the active category. Before we do that, I'm just going to create a div for that little dot to show that it's active. So here, active video category is equals to index, and then I'm going to create a small div like that. Oops, a div like that. And then this div is just going to be width of 1 and height of 1. And then the background color is going to be green. And then it's going to be centered relative to that button. Like here, centered relative to this button. But we don't see anything yet. That's why we need to set position of relative to the button. So it's centered relative to the button. I'm going to set the position of this button here to relative, and we should be able to see this green dot. All right. So the other thing that we want to do is the opacity of the button. So we're going to be using template literals here to style this conditionally. And let's do that. All right. So active category, if it's equal to index, we're going to do opacity. Opacity, we're going to set to 100, and then opacity, we're going to set it to 50. So the rest, they're going to have opacity of 50, but the active one is going to be 100, as you can see. It's working fine. That's perfect. So now we have the categories working, and we can switch between scenes, but we want to have a panel that's going to allow us to select a specific video. And let's go ahead and work on that panel. Let's see where we are. Okay, so to keep things clean, I'm just going to collapse this here, and let's create the panel down here. All right, and I'll also collapse this button, and let's start styling this. Okay, so for the panel, I am going to give it a padding and a bit of a shadow. So panel, I'm going to give it a padding of 2. That's around, and then flex, and then a gap of 2, and then flex wrap. So we want the items to go to the next line if there's not enough space. So for example, if I open this item here, so the item, there's not enough space for this video to go on this row. So it's going to go to the next row. So that's flex wrap. So that's what we're doing. Flex wrap, and then we're going to center, and then the background is going to be black, and then the opacity is 40%, and then we're going to give it a border, and the color of the border is white, and the opacity is 20%, and it's going to be a bit rounded, and then a bit of a shadow. That's the panel. So let's see if we have a bit of something. Here's our panel here. That's what it looks like now, but there's no content in that panel, so we're not going to see anything yet. All right, so now let's open up the body. So in the body of the panel, we are going to loop through the categories data. Okay, so video, oops. So make sure we wrap this in curly braces. So it's going to be video, categories data, and then we're going to check the active categories. Oh, active video category. So we are going to see which category of the video is active. So if this one is active, and then we're going to take that active category and map through the videos of that particular category. And then we can get the video. We don't want anything else, so we're not going to use the index. And then here we can return. We can return a button here, like that. That's perfect. All right, so we have a button. And let's see. So a button where you're just going to be able to click the video element. So since it's a list, we are going to do video. We're going to use video key. So for the key, oh yeah, it's actually video, because this video is not an object. So we're just going to use the video itself, the source. We can do that, or we can use the key as the index, but we're just going to use the video for the key. And let's give it a class name. We're going to do aspect video. It's going to maintain the aspect ratio of a video. And then when we click, we want to change the video, by the way. So we're going to work on that. But for now, we want to load the metadata of the clicked video. So we're just going to do video, and then like that. And then we're just going to preload whatever video we click, so we don't have glitches. Oops. So we're going to do preload metadata, like that. And then source of that video, Okay, so here we're going to give it an aspect of video, and then we are going to, yeah, let's just leave it like this, aspect video for now. If we need anything else, we'll change. So, okay. This seems to be very, very, very big. Very, very big. So now we need to give them width. Okay, so aspect video. Let's give them a width of 120 pixels. So let's see what it translates to. So it's width 30. Okay, so we have width. As you can see now, they're looking pretty good. So the other thing that we want is to make them slightly rounded. And we're going to set the rounded to MD. So that's medium. So which is about 6 pixels. And yeah, it looks good. So, but now we want to be able to click this video, but we need a state for the active video. So we are going to set the active video to whatever we click on. All right, so we are going to do on click, and then we're going to take in a callback function. And then here we're going to set, we have the active video already. We're just going to set that to the video that we click on. All right, so now let's click. As you can see, it's changing the scenes. It's changing the scenes, but we need to show which video is active, so we can keep track on the user interface which video is active, and so it's also going to look nicer. Let's do some conditional styling. Aspect video. So here, video. Let's do some conditional styles here, like that. All right, so I am going to check active video. I'm going to check active video is equal to the current video. If it's the current video, I'm going to set ring to 2. And then I'm going to ring background color. Ring, actually, there's no background color. So ring green. I'm going to set to green 400 for the ring if it's active, and opacity is going to be 100. And this one, if it's not active, I'm going to set the opacity to 90, like that. So as you can see, the active one is going to have a green ring, and it's selecting the first video when we change categories. As you can see, it's looking pretty good. Okay, that's it for the video. For the video selection. So the next video, we are going to look at We're going to look at the footer and then the sound effects. I'll see you on the next video. Okay, so now let's work on playing the music and also the full screen. Let's start with the full screen button. Let's go back to app. I'm going to put that at the top. So here, let's create a button for that. Okay, so let's create it as a button. All right, so it's also going to have a position of absolute, and it's going to have a transition. It's basically going to be similar to the other button that we've created. All right, so I'm just going to show you the styles. So we have width, position absolute, top 4, and then on smaller screens, the top is going to change to 8, and then right is 4, and then on smaller screens, top is 4 for smaller screens, so there's a small space for smaller screens, but after this certain size, which is after 640 pixels, the top is going to be 8, which is bigger screens, 8, and then for smaller screens, it's going to be 4. Let me show you what I mean. So if I go to smaller screens on mobile, so top is now 4. For bigger screens, top is 8. So there's a bit of spacing between the top and the right side. And then the Z index is set to 50. Cursor pointer, we don't need this anymore. And then width and height is 40 pixels, which is height 10 in Tailwind CSS. And also for bigger screens, it's going to be height, which is height 12, like that. Aspect can be written as this. So we want to maintain a specific aspect ratio of the button. Depending, it doesn't matter what size we have. It's going to maintain the same aspect ratio. We have a backdrop, blur, border, rounded MD, and then when we hover, it's going to scale. And then we're going to have a transition, ease in and ease out, and then the duration is 200 milliseconds. So when I hover, there's a scale transition here. All right, so now within the button, we are going to have an image for the icon. So image, and we need to import the icons. So we are going to have a shrink screen, and so we have import shrink screen from assets. So let's see if we have the icon. If we have that icon, shrink, yeah, so we have the shrink. We also want the expand icon, and let's see if we've expand. All right, so we've imported expand. So if we're full screen, it's going to have this icon here. It's going to change. All right, so let's that's the icons. We need a state to check if we're currently full screen, and then if we're full screen, we are going to conditionally render the icons is full screen, and initially we're not going to be on full screen, and we need a reference for this main here. I'm just gonna say full screen ref. Let's full screen ref, because we want this main to be full screen. So let's also do a ref like this. So use ref. Make sure you import use ref, and it's going to be no, like that. Okay, so we have the reference for this main here, and we need to create a function to be able to toggle the full screen. Toggle full screen. It's going to be a function. All right, so we are going to check first if we full screen ref dot current. If we don't have the selected item, we're not going to execute anything after this. And then we're going to check if we are full screen. If we're full screen, oops, what's the name? If it's full screen, we're going to do document exit full screen. Okay, and then we're just going to catch, and then we're just going to console log the error if there's error, and then we're going to set full screen to false. Okay, and then we can do else here, and then we're going to set it to true like that. So now we have the toggle full screen, which we need to put on this button here. So we have toggle full screen. So now we need to check, conditionally check for the source is full screen. If for full screen, we're going to put the shrink icon, otherwise the expand icon, like that. So now let's see our app. So there it is, hover, it's scaling, boom, 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 it's toggling full screen. All right, so now we just need to style this icon. It doesn't look right. So let's do a class name, and we're going to invert. So it's white. And then for the height, we are going to set that to 70% perhaps. Okay, like that. So now let's save that. So yeah, it's looking good. Sweet. So now let's do the player icons. So we have the video player. So let's do this. I'm thinking where to do this. Okay, I'm gonna collapse this. After the video player, I'll do a footer here. All right, so let's style this footer. And I'm also going to give it a position of absolute. And then I'm going to give it width full. Absolute. Okay, so position. Oops. Class name. Okay, so position absolute, and then the width is 100%. And we're going to display grid. So we're going to have 3 columns for bigger screens from MD. And then for smaller screens, we're going to have a single column. And then the bottom is going to be 0. And then for smaller screens, for bigger screens, it's going to have some spacing. So let me show you what I mean. So here's the footer. There's some spacing at the bottom here. Okay. And then for smaller screens, there's no spacing here. All right. So that's basically what's happening. So for smaller screens, the column is also a single column. And then for bigger screens, there's 3 columns. So this is the first column, and then the second column, and then the third column. So this is for bigger screens here. And then this is for smaller screens. And then at the bottom, it's going to be 0 for smaller screens. For bigger screens, 6. All right, so that's that. And then left, I'm going to center this. So I'm going to do left. I'm going to set that to 50%. And then center this in the vertical, like it's going to be centered vertically here. All right, so that's the layout of our footer. Right. So let's go inside the footer. So to the left side, it's going to show the current song that's playing. So we need a state for that. Let's create a state for the current playing song. Let's name it current track. Current track. So you can name this whatever you want, but current track is the best name that I came up with. All right, so current track, set current track. But so the type of this current track is going to be type of song. Okay, so import the type song or no. But initially, we're actually going to select a song. So music, categories, and then for each categories, I'm going to select a song, like a song. For now, I'm going to select the first one, and then dot music, and then I'm going to select the first song. Okay, so music, and then each category, I'm going to select the first category, but I'm going to create a state as well for the active music category, const active music category. So the first one is going to be index 0. So I'm just going to put that Okay, so this should be music, like that. Okay, so we by default we have the first song selected for that particular category, which is the first category on initial render, unless if we change the state to whatever category that we set it to. All right, so now we have the state. Let's go back and let's go back to the footer and start doing our footer. All right, let's do a div, and then in here we're gonna check current track. We're gonna check the currently playing song, and then I'm going to do a p tag, and then I'm going to have two spans in this p tag. So this one is going to be current track.title, like that. Maybe we can show the artist, but I've just showed the title. And then this one is going to be now playing, maybe. Now playing, like so. All right, so we can style this. Class name, text, SM, that's for smaller screens. And then after the small screen, text, we're going to set to base, that's the default one. And then font, semi-bold. And then text, we're going to set that to white, the color. Class name, oops. So, let me see, class name. So for smaller screens, this is going to be hidden. And then for larger screens, we're going to be showing this text. It's block to show. So let's inspect. There's nothing yet on the screen. What's going on? Seems like we have some issues. So import, so this should be type like that. Now let's refresh. All right, so there's our song here. It's playing, showing the song name. There's another issue here. We're going to fix this because we're not using those variables. Let's style this p tag. Class name, we're going to set the margin top to 2. px, we're going to set that to 4. And then py, we're going to set that to 2. Text white, we're going to set that to 90. And then flex, item center, justify center. We're basically just centering whatever is inside. And then I'm just going to give it a gap of 2. Gap 2. And then for bigger screens, we're going to round it RLG, so that's large, rounded to the right side. So there it is. Okay, it's looking pretty good. Actually, we want to give it a background color of black as well. So let's do BG, black, and then we're going to set the opacity to 40%. All right, so there's the opacity. It seems to be taking a lot of screen size, but don't worry, we're going to fix that. So after the p tag, so this is the div. After div, I'm going to class name this, give it a class name, and then I'm going to do self-center. So this is for smaller screens, self-center with 100% full, and then for MD, for bigger screens, we're going to set that to fit, and then we're going to order 1. You will see what this means later. And then MD, order none. So we don't want to change the order. So we're basically changing the order for smaller screens. So MD, order 0, like this. All right. So as you can see now, it's taking the correct space. And here we are going to have a div and also a div. So on this div here, let's do a class name. So this is the footer where this is where the name of the site is. So hidden by default. On smaller screens, it's going to be hidden. And then on bigger screens, we're going to show it on bigger screens. And then empty, margin top, that's 2. And then PR, we're going to set that to 8. And then text, we're going to set that to right. And then self-center. And then here, I'm just going to put an A tag and then at the code dealer. All right, you can put anything you want in here. And then I'm just going to put a URL, which is going to go to my YouTube channel. Actually, it's going to go to my website like that. So this is the website. You can check it out. Okay, so now we should have the name here. And now we need the control, the player controls. We're going to create a component for that. So let's go to components, TSX. It's going to be called player controls. And then we're going to save that. And let's render the player controls. Yeah. Player controls. Okay. And we should be able to see player controls here in the middle. Okay. So in player controls, we are going to create some props. Interface is going to take in some props from the app.tsx. So in here, we are going to have active music category. It's going to be type of string. And then we also have current track, which is a type of song. Make sure you import the song type or no. All right, so we have the current track. Make sure, yeah, current track. We actually want set current track like that. And then we want the song index. Song index like that. And this is going to be type of a number. And the other thing that we want is set song index like that. All right, so we have the state that we need, and we're just going to destructure this in here like so. Okay, so let's go back to app TSX and create the state for these. All right, so song index, let's go back. Okay. Current track, const, set song index. So by default, it's going to be 0. That's the set song index. Okay, so let's go back and pass in our props. All right, so we've passed in our props. So active music category is not assigned to, let's see. So it's type of number. Active music category, so this should be, type of number. Okay, so we have our props. Let's see. Set current track. Set current track. Wait a minute. Do we have this state here? Current track. Current. Oh, this is the wrong spelling, by the way. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to refactor this, and it's going to change all of the instances. So you can use F2 to refactor. Set current track. All right. Set current track. Like so. This should be current track. And let's go and fix the spelling here. Current track, set current track. Okay. So we should fix the spelling names. Okay, it should work now. Perfect. And now in the player controls, we are going to add the markup. So let's go to the player controls. Let's give it a class name. And I'm going to flex and give it a gap of 4. So display flex item center justify center, and a gap of 4. So there's going to be some gap between these items here. All right. So let's start with the first item, which is going to be a button for previous. Okay, so let's import some. Let's import some icons. Import previous from assets. I think that's icons. What's the name of the prev icon? I think it's next. Yeah, next. Okay. I'll just import the rest of the icons. So we've play, pause, and next. So we imported the icons that we're going to be using. Okay. So now let's go down and see what else we need to import. Okay, so yeah, nothing else. Now let's just go back to add our buttons. Now let's start with previous button. Okay, so for the previous button, it's gonna be button and img, and then the source is gonna be prev, like that. And then I am going to give it a class name with, we're going to rotate the icon to face this direction here. So it's facing this direction. It's next, and then we want to rotate it to face this direction. So there's the icon here. And for this one, we're going to give it a class name. We're going to invert like so. For this one, it's going to be width 10. Width 10. And then for bigger screens, it's going to have a width of 11.5 for bigger screens. So this is for smaller screens, bigger screens. And then when we hover, we're going to scale and then give it a transition, ease in and ease out. So we can hover, it's scaling. Sweet. So that's the icon. Now we need the play button. So it's basically the same stuff. Let's do button. We just need to use the button play, and then the styles are going to be slightly similar, and it's going to be 12 for smaller screens, and then for bigger screens it's going to be 15 for the width. Okay, so we want the button to be slightly bigger, the play button to be slightly bigger than the next and prev. All right, so and then the next one is going to be the pose, and then we're going to have the next one. Sweet. Next one. So by the way, the pose one, we're going to fix this in a minute. So pose, I'm gonna get rid of this. We just want to leave the play there. All right, so we have the buttons. Now they're not functional yet. All right, so to make them functional, we want to be able to click, go to the next song, go to the prev song. Let's start with the playing state. Const is playing and set is playing. It's going to be false initially. Use state. Let's import use state. All right. Now for this one, we're going to conditionally render the icon. We're going to check is playing for play. So we're going to check is playing, and then we're going to, if we're playing, we're going to show pause. Otherwise, we're going to show the play icon. All right, so we're not playing, so it's not going to show the pause icon. All right. Oh, that's the O tag. So now we can create a function here for us to be able to do the playing. But instead of doing that, we can also do it here. When we click, we can toggle between playing. Okay, so if it's playing, it's going to be false. If it's not playing, it's going to be true. like that. So we can toggle between the state, and as you can see, the icon is changing. That's what we want. That's good. So the next thing, we want to be able to actually play the song. So for us to be able to play the song, we are going to do an audio element, and we're going to give it a ref because we want to select this element. Let's do audio ref like that. And then we are going to do the source. It's going to be the current track dot source. And then we're going to autoplay, and we're not going to loop here. So we need to change this to audio ref, and we need to create the ref for that audio. So we're going to do const audio ref, and we're going to use the ref like that. Use ref. So this should be HTML audio element. Yeah. And the default is going to be no. Oops. Yeah, it's playing. Sorry, my voice is very, very loud. Yeah, it's playing by default. So we need a way to stop this. Let me refresh. Okay, sorry, yeah, it's not playing anymore. Okay, so now we have is playing. We need some state again. So let's do volume. By default, let's set this to 20. That's the volume. So from 0 to 100. And then we also want muting is muted. Okay, so it's going to be false on initial render. Perfect. Now, what we want to, let's see, what shall we start with? Let's start with, let me see. Okay, so now let's actually do the playing. So we are going to do a use effect. And we are going to listen for the changes in the dependencies. So we're going to check is playing, the state, and also the current track, like so. We're going to check. If it's playing. So if we're playing, we're going to do audio ref dot current dot pause dot play, and then else we're going to pause. Okay, yeah. So if we're playing, if it's playing, we're going to audio ref dot current dot. It's actually pause, and this should be play. Let's see. Oh, vice versa. I can't remember which one it is. Let's. Oh, this should be play actually. Play. This should be pause. Let's refresh. Now it's playing and pausing. Perfect. So our play pause works fine. It's gonna listen to the changes in the state. All right. So the next thing, we want to go to the next. We can do the next song, and we can also do the prev song. So let's start with, let's do a comment here. Keep current track in sync with song index and active music category. So here we're going to do use effect. So we're just going to keep the track and the active category in sync. So the dependencies, in our dependencies, we are going to have song index, and also active category. And then we're just going to set here the current track, set current track to music categories. Have I imported music categories? music categories, and then active music category, and then the song index. Okay, we're just keeping in sync. All right. So now we have that. What else? We need prev. So whenever we change the music category, let's see if whenever we change the music category here, we want to listen for the change in this category. So, and then we want to change the song. As you can see, it's changing the song whenever we change the category. So we also need a use effect for that. So use effect. And for this one, we're going to listen to active music category. Okay, so we're gonna create an audio here, and then we're going to use audio ref to current. Then we're gonna check if we don't have the audio, and then we're just gonna return. We're not going to execute anything after. Otherwise, we're gonna const handle ended, and this is going to be a function here. And then we are going to go to the next song. So we can do next song. We don't have the next song function yet, but we're going to sort out this function in a minute. Okay, and we can do audio.event listener. If it's ended, we're listening for the end, and then we're going to handle end. We're going to go to the next song once this event is fired, and then we're going to clean up that event. We're going to remove the event listener so we don't pollute our listeners. All right, so now what we're going to do now is create this function to go to the next song. We've done the cleanup already. We've listened to the event. Now let's go to create this function here. Const next song. Okay, so for the next song, we are going to set the song index. Next song, set song index. We are going to get the previous index. Okay, so the previous index, and then we're going to make this a callback function. And then I'm gonna get the next index. So the next index is basically the previous index plus 1. So we're getting the previous index plus 1. So that's the next song. So we are gonna say next index is equals to prev index plus 1, like that. So that's going to be the next index. And we're going to know what's going to come after that. Okay, so but what we're going to do is we are going to do prev index. We're gonna check. By the way, if there's a song, if we want to go to the next song, we want to check if our array has more songs to go to cycle through. So we're gonna check prev index if it's less than music categories, active music category dot length minus 1. Okay, we're gonna check length minus 1. We're gonna check the entire length minus 1. So that's the last song. Okay, and then we're going to be able to go to the next index. So we're gonna check if there's any more songs. If there's more songs, next index will be the next song. So we're basically checking if there's something, we're gonna go to the next index. Otherwise, we're gonna set it to 0. Okay, so that's the next index. And then we're gonna set, we're going to set is playing. Wait, we should be inside here. So set is playing to true, and then we're going to return the next index, like so. All right, so we have the next song functionality. And for the prev song, we have the similar concept, by the way. So const prev song is basically the similar concept here, but vice versa. Okay. And we are going to return, actually, set song index prev song. I'm rushing this too much. So this one, I'm going to get rid of this. So for song index going previous, we're going to get the prev index And then this one should not be called, we can get rid of this, by the way. Priv index, we need to return. So we need to make sure we're returning this. So we can get rid of this. So, wait, let me redo this because I can't keep track anymore. We need to return. Okay, let me redo this. So we have priv index. Okay, so we're getting the previous index, and then we're going to return priv index if it's greater than 0. Index if it's greater than 0. And then we're going to do priv index minus 1. All right. So if it's greater than 0, let's say if it's 1, and then if the current song that's playing is at index 1, when we go priv, we're going to subtract 1. It's going to go to 0 to the first song. Okay. Otherwise, we're going to start again from the end of the list. Okay. So which is the length, the category is music.length minus 1. Okay. That's the end of the list. All right. So now we have priv and next song. We can put them to their designated buttons. So we have priv song and we have next. Now let's save. Let's see if we can cycle through our songs. Okay. Yeah, seems to be working. Seems to be working. Next, we can go priv and it's going to cycle the songs. All right. So perfect. Now we have priv song. So the only thing that we also need to work on now is volume. So for the volume, we are going to create a component for that. Let's name it volume control. But let's see this one, get rid of this. All right, so there's some issues again. So this is for the volume, by the way. So that's why you're seeing the warnings. But, oh, next song. Why is it complaining? I don't know why it's complaining. Let's see. Next song. Okay, we are going to fix this in a minute to see why it's complaining. But for now, let's create a component, name it volume control, and we're going to create a functional component, and we're going to render that component here, volume control. All right, I'm going to stop the song from playing. Okay, so let's see what we can do with this volume control. We need the interface for props. We need the volume, which is type of number and is muted, which is a Boolean. And the other thing we want is on volume change. It's going to be a state. It's going to be a function. Actually, it's not going to return anything. And then we need on toggle mute, like that. And we're going to destructure these props. Okay, so for the volume, I'm going to do a button. And also we want a ref to this wrapper. Ref. And then we can name it wrapper ref. Like that. Let's create a ref for that. Okay. Const wrapper ref. So this one is going to be a div element. Use ref. Okay, so this is a div element. All right, so we have the ref for this wrapper. All right, so we're going to use this ref in a minute, but for now, let's sort out this button. It's basically the similar styles we've been doing for the other buttons. So we have cursor pointer. It's going to scale when we have something like that. Okay, so we also want the image. So we are going to render conditionally this image. we're going to check if we're muted or if we're not muted. So what we're going to do is import these icons here. So we have mute and volume icon. So we are going to import those from assets. So remember here we have mute, it's muted here, and the volume icon. So mute, volume. So that's what we're going to do. So it's let's change the width of this. So it's width 7, and this one should be width 9. Yeah, so width 9, like that. Okay, so we are off to a great start. So there's our button. So nothing happens yet. So we want to be able to click this button here. So if, for example, if I click this, it's going to mute. As you can see, it's muting. So that's what we're going to do. Let's create a function for that. And then, we're going to check the pointer type, const pointer type. So we're basically going to check if we're on mobile or if we're not on mobile. Okay, so if on mobile, it's going to be different. So here we're gonna do so we need to get the event actually. So event react.mouse event, something like that. Okay, so we have the event. So here we just want to do native element, and then as pointer event pointer type. Okay, so we're gonna check if pointer type, if it's touch, if it's not mouse but touch. If we're on touch screen, we want to do something different. Touch. Okay, so if it's touch, I'm going to create a state for mobile slider. I'll show you what that means. So const mobile slider, it's going to be false initially, and then here we are just going to change the state. Okay, I'll show you what this means in a minute, what this does in a minute. Okay, so pointer type. Let's see what's the issue here. Okay, so let me show you what this means. So as you can see, if I click this, it's muting and unmuting. If I go to mobile screens, if I click it, it's not muting, but it's opening the progress bar of our volume. So that's the effect we're looking for. So we're going to check if it's touch screen, and then we're just going to toggle the state. Else, we are going to do on toggle mute, which we don't have this function yet. So we have this in props though, but yeah. So we have that. Let's put that on the button. Okay, so let's see if our button is toggling. So if I click it, nothing happens yet, which is odd. So it's muted. Let's see. So we're gonna check it's muted. Or volume is equals to 0. We're gonna use the mute icon. Or because we haven't fully used these values here, we're going to use them in a minute. Let's do the progress bar. So let's do a div here for the volume progress, and let's do class name, and we're going to use template literals here because we're going to do some conditional styles to check if we're on mobile. All right, so we have these styles here. So we're going to give a transition, a duration of 300 milliseconds is in and out. That's for the transition. And then for bigger screens, width set to 0, opacity 0. This one, the hover, width set to 95 pixels, and then the opacity 100 milliseconds. All right, so we are going to do a conditional check. If on mobile, we're going to give it a width of 80 pixels. Let's do the mobile styles. So on mobile, width is 80 pixels, which can be written as width 20, and then the opacity is 100. All right, and then otherwise the width is going to be 0. Something is wrong. Why is it not auto closing? Dun-dun. Okay. All right, so yeah, it should be able to work, but now let's sort out the slider. In here, inside, we're going to do a div, and then it is going to have a P1. All right, so P1, and this is going to be, well, we need to render a slider component, which is coming from, I believe, material UI. Let's see. Yeah, I think it's material UI. It is the slider component. Yeah, so this one, material UI. We are going to use a slider component from this. So I'm going to stop the project and then let's install material UI. All right, so now let's run dev. Okay, so now it's running again. What we need to do is import a slider. Oh, slider. Yeah, so that's the slider here. We've imported the slider. So now let's save. Let's see if we have the slider. Let's refresh. Oh, seems like there's an issue somewhere. Let's see what's going on. Let's inspect. Okay, so there's an issue here. So it's complaining about this material UI style engine. Let's see what we have. So material UI, material. That's weird. Okay, I'm just going to see what's going on. Let me paste this in the browser. I guess we need to install this. Let's see. All right, now let's rerun the project, npm run dev, and let's refresh. Seems like we have the same issue. Emotion styled. Okay, actually, yeah, we need this one. Emotion styled. Okay, let's install that. We also need the React one, npm I emotion / React. So yeah, we need this one, React styled. We can get rid of this. And npm uninstall. Perfect. Let's rerun. Oops, wrong one. Let's rerun npm run dev, and now let's try to refresh. Sweet. The slider is there, but we can't see anything. Now let's style that, and so we can see our slider. Let's go. So volume control. So we need volume. Volume is muted and pass other props. Okay, so we have the props. Set is muted on toggle mute. We are just toggling the state of the mute. Okay, so let's go to volume control. We have the slider. Now let's work on the slider. So let's give it a value. We're going to check is muted. So if it's muted, so the value is going to be 0. Otherwise, we're going to set it to the volume. And then we have the min. So the minimum value is going to be 0. So the max is going to be 100. 100. And then we can put some custom styles, but we're going to do on change. On change, let's take in a callback function. We don't want the first value, but we want the new value. All right, so we're going to check if muted, if is muted, and then we're going to do on toggle mute, toggle mute. Otherwise, we're going to set on volume change. We're going to set it to new value as number, like that. Sweet. So let's see. So nothing yet because we haven't fully started this. Okay, so to style this, we need to do custom styles. So SX, that's how we do custom styles. It's going to take an object and we're going to give it a color. So color and height. So we're going to give it color, height of 8. So that's the color. That's all right. We still don't see the slider. That's odd. Oh, it seems to be hidden, but we need to hover. Okay, so the slider should be able to show when we hover, but currently it's not showing. Let's see why. So if I go to the original project, when I hover, the slider shows, but this one it's not showing, which is weird. That's weird. Let's see if we're missing anything. Okay, yeah, I think we're missing something here. So here we're gonna select the slider thumb, material UI, slider, and then thumb. Okay, like that. And then we're going to do some styles for that. And then we're gonna set width, height 16. So this is for the thumb, by the way. Width and height 16. Width, height 16. MUI slider thumb. Yep. And then when we hover, so when we hover and hover, and then active, Metro UI, active. So this should be and dot, by the way, active. And we're also going to check for the focus visible, like that. All right, and we are going to give it a box shadow. Box shadow. We are going to give it a slight RGB of 216, 137, 109, and 0.2, 20% opacity. All right, so nothing happens when we hover. Cursor pointer, hover scale, MT. Okay, there's no more issues. Okay, so yeah, I'm going to debug this issue off screen and see where we gone wrong. And yeah, I'll be back with the fix. I'll see you on the next video. All right, so now we're going to be working on the panels when we open and closing the panel. And when we click anywhere on the screen, it's going to close the panel. So for that, before we do that, we're just going to fix this issue here. I've forgotten to put the class name here. Since it's a group, so when we hover the group, that's when we want to expand. So here we're missing something. So we need to set this to group. Because when we hover the group, that's when we want to show the slider. So let's save that. So hover the group and it's showing the slider. So as you can see here, we did the group here. So group hover, that's when we did the style for the width. So what we're going to do now is let's do flex. Let's give it a flex. Flex, and then we're going to set items to center. Maybe give it a gap of 2. And yeah, it's looking pretty good. We can also increase the size of this icon here. So instead of 7, let's set that to 10. And let's set this to 8. Like that, so it's a bit bigger. All right, it's looking good. Let's try to play the song. Seems like our volume is not working. I think we have not correctly plugged in our state. Okay, let's refresh that. Let's double check. So let's play. Mute. Okay, seems to be not muting and changing our state. Okay, let's see why. So we check is muted, and then on toggle mute, on volume change. All right, so if we go to app, let's check if we have put that. App, player controls. We are going to check for volume. All right, so seems like we have not set the volume. Let's see. Okay, so we've put set volume here. We have. It's not muted. I'm just looking to see if we have made a mistake. So on toggle mute, set is muted. We are going to do prev and not prev. Okay, we're going to get the previous state value, and we're going to toggle between the value. So if muted volume, let's see if it's muting. Okay, seems to be not muting the sound. Okay, let's try to debug this issue. Volume control. All right. Okay, so we have the mobile. It's muted. 0 or volume. Yeah, that's correct. Max 100. On change. That is weird. I don't know why the volume is not working. On change volume. Okay, don't worry. We'll fix this in a minute. But for now, let's work on the playlist. So let's create a container for the buttons that we're going to put here. So we are going to name that selector buttons. Selector buttons. All right, so selector buttons, we are going to render them. Maybe player controls. I don't know, let's do it. So with the footer, let's do it here. Selector buttons like that. So we are going to show them somewhere here. So we need to style this. So we need to give them position of absolute and top 50%. Position absolute, top 50%. And then we're going to center this somewhere here on the center of the screen. That's why we're using minus 50% for the translation of the y-axis. So now we just need to add the buttons. So the first button, we're basically going to use the same styles we've been using for the buttons. Let's start. Let's give it a class name. So we're going to give it a width of 10. The height of 10. That's for smaller screens. For bigger screens, we're going to give it a height of 12. So this is for bigger screens. So it's greater than this width here. After 640 pixels, the height is going to be this. And then for aspect, we're going to display like this. All right. And so for background, it's black, opacity is 40%. The border, white, rounded, we're going to set that to 4. And flex, we're going to center everything. and then cursor, pointer, we can get rid of this. And then the shadow, we're going to have a small shadow, and then when you hover, it's going to scale, and then we're going to give it a transition for the scaling. So when you hover, it's going to scale. As you can see here, there's a transition. So we need 2 of these buttons. So I'm going to duplicate this like so. Okay, so we have duplicated the button. We need to import the icons that we're going to be using. So we are going to be using sliders icon and music icon. And let's do the image. Remember, we need to invert the image. It's black to white. So let's open up the button, and we have the image. So we have the music icon and sliders. So height. So this should be 10. Width, 10. We should have the buttons. There they are. As you can see, looking pretty good. All right. So now we have the buttons. What we need to do is create an interface for props, and we are going to have set show music panel, because this is a music panel. So we have the set show music panel, and it's going to return void, and then we're going to destructure those props, and then show music panel, and then we also have sound effects panel. Okay, we're going to create these states here in a minute. So what we're going to do is when I click, so this is going to be the music panel. When click, let's take in a callback function. So when I click, I want to set show music panel to the opposite. Okay, show music panel to the opposite of music panel, and then we're going to close the set show the sound effects panel to false. So let me show you what I mean. So when I go to the original, when I open the music panel, and then when I close, when I show the music panel, and then it's going to close the other panel. When I open the other panel, it's going to close the other panel. So we're going to do that in here. So when I open this music panel, it's going to close this one. When I open this one, it's going to close this one. So that's the effect here that's happening here. It's going to switch between these panels. So that's what we want to do. Now we have this. We need to do the same thing for the other button, but vice versa. Let's see, callback function. So for this one, we are going to do this vice versa now. All right, so let's go back. And now nothing happens yet because we don't have the state set yet. Okay, so now let's create the state for these items here. Okay, so we have set show music panel. Let's go to the app. Let's see. Do we have anything yet? Yeah, we do. And then we're gonna paste in the state. Oops. So we have show music panel, but we don't have that yet. So we're going to create that state. So let's do that. All right. So we haven't used this one yet. So song index. Let's do that down here. So we have const. We have show music panel, sound effects panel. So we have music and sound effects panel like that. So let's go down here. So here we're taking the sound effects panel, set and show sound effects panel like that. So let's go to the buttons. So when I click, they should, do something. But we don't have the panels yet. They are not doing anything right now because we have no panels set. So once we have the panels, you'll see that they're going to open because we have the state set already. So let's start with the music panel. Let's create the music panel .tsx. Let's refactor this panel. Okay, so we have the music panel. Let's render this music panel in the app. So we have selector buttons. Let's do music panel, and we're rendering the music panel in here. And by the way, for the music panel, we don't need to conditionally render this. Actually, let's do that. Show music panel. Let's open up the music panel, and we're going to create an interface and then props. And then we're going to add the props of that music panel. So we need show music panel. That's the state, and it's going to be Boolean. And then we need set show music panel. It's going to return void. So here it's going to be a state of show. And then we also want active music category and set active music category. And then we're going to destructure the state. Let's go back to app. So now we are going to pass in those properties. So we have the state for music panel, set show music panel, active music category, the current song, the song index, set song index. We have that, and then we're going to pass that in the music panel. All right, so in the music panel, we are going to create a ref for this one, and we're going to name this panel ref because we want to reference the panel. Let's import panel ref, goes to use ref, like that, and it's going to be a div element. All right, so now we've selected this music panel. We are going to give it a class name because we want to style this. I'm going to use template list rows because we're going to do some conditional styling here. And I want to give it a custom scroll bar. This is a custom class. We're going to sort this out in a minute. And then width, we are going to set that to 300 pixels, which can be set as width 75. 75. All right. For bigger screens, we're going to set width to 430 pixels. That's for bigger screens. That can be written as this one here. I'm going to copy that and paste that. All right, so make sure it's correct. All right, so height, it's 500 pixels. 500 pixels, which can be written as height 125. 125. And then we have a background color of black with opacity of 60%. All right. So we have right. It's going to be. So we want the panel to be at the right side, like this. 4.5 rem. So which can be written as right 18. 18. This is for smaller screens, and for bigger screens, 24. 24. And we're going to transform this, and then we're going to center this on the. We're going to center this horizontally. So top is 50%, and we're going to center this horizontally, and then I'm going to give it a bit of a shadow and overflow to auto so we can scroll. So let's see if we click, nothing happens yet. Okay, so let's keep moving. All right, now we are going to animate this. Animate. So when I show the music panel, we are going to translate X 0, and then opacity 100%, and then translate X to, let's set it to something like, let's do minus, actually let's do 135%, something like that. Okay, perfect. Let's see, music panel. Okay, so the buttons, Okay, let's see. Where's our buttons? Where's our buttons? Volume control. Let me close this volume control thing. Video player. Show music panel. Let me just do this temporarily. Where's the selector buttons? Okay. Set show music panel. Let me just set this to true. Okay, why is it not? So if show music panel, that's odd. We can inspect to see if the state is working. Inspect. Let's go to components, app. I'm just going to check the state. I'm going to click this. So our state is working. So it's true now. And now it's false. It's true. Okay. So the thing is, our panel is not showing, which is odd. Let's see. Let's go to app, music panel, show music panel. Let's inspect here. Click. Okay, let's see if there's any other element. So main, div, the buttons, footer. Okay, click again. Okay, so our music panel seems like it's there. There it is. But let's see the index. Let's say that 100. Yeah, seems to be here. Okay, so it seems like we're missing the Z index. So music panel. So position, we also need to give it a position because it doesn't have a position. So for us to be able to set a Z index, we need to also give it a position. So let's do relative, and then, oh, there's a position set already. Never mind. There's a position set here, absolute. So let's set Z to 50, like that. So let's click. It's showing the panel. Nice, but it's not animating. We're going to fix that. I think it's because the state is just instantly showing, but we need it to animate. It's off screen, but now it's not hiding. See, now it's animating like so. Sweet. So now we are animating the music panel. We have the state. Now let's map through the categories so we can select each category. Okay, so let's see. So show panel. Let's create a div for the categories. So div. So this is going to be a grid. Class name, a grid. So this is this. If I open the panel, so there's a grid of 2 columns on bigger screens, and then on smaller screens, it's going to be, actually it's still going to be 2 columns. So a grid of 2 columns and a gap of 2, overflow white auto, text white. Okay, so that's the grid, and then we're going to map through the music categories, music categories, and then we're going to map. We're going to loop through each category. Cat, that's for category, and then we're going to return. You can return a div here. And then it's a list, so it needs a key. So we're going to use category.id. All right, so we have a key now. Sweet. So now we just need to start styling this. So let's give it a class name, and then we're going to use terminal literals because we're going to do conditional styles again. We're going to give it a P1. Flex item center. We're going to center this, and then we're going to do a gap of 2. Cursor pointer. and then I'm going to set rounded to MD. That's medium. To be fair, we can set this as a button, but we can use the div as well, so that's fine. All right, so now what we are going to do, we're going to check if the category, let's give it an index here, if the active number, we're going to check if the active music category is equal to the current index. Okay, if it's equal to the current index, and then we're going to style this. We're going to set opacity to 100 and ring white 30, and then we're going to set opacity to 80%, like so. All right, so we have that. And now when we click, that's when we're going to set the active music category to the index. When click, set active music category to the index, and then set song index, we are going to set to 0 to the first song of the category. So whenever we change this, it's going to select the first song. Okay, song category, song index is going to be 0 of that particular category. It's going to select the first song of that particular category. That's what's happening here. So now let's move on. So the next thing is going to be the image. So we need the image, which is going to be source category.icon. Actually, it's cover. We're going to use the cover image. That's for the image. And then for the class name, we're going to give it a width. So a width of 70, which is written as 17.5. 17.5. This is 17.5 as well. That's for the width. 17 or 12, 17.5. And for the width here for smaller screens, it's going to be 11.5. This is for smaller screens. This is for bigger screens. Okay, so bigger screens. So over 640 pixels, that's bigger screens. That's 17.5. And then object to cover. And then I'm just going to save. And the other thing that we want is H2. We're just going to display the category, category. And then I'm just going to give it a font bold, font semi-bold. And then the text for for bigger screens is large, and then base for smaller screens. So let's go back and check it out. So here's our categories. We can select the categories. It's looking pretty good. All right. So we can close this, open, close, but we need to show the list of the songs that are playing. So let's see if we can play. As you can see, the songs are changing. It's selecting the first song of each particular category. All right, so that's working as fine. That's working as expected. So the next thing is the list of the songs. So for the list, after this music category thing, I am going to collapse that, and then I'm going to create another div. Class name. I want to do border top. I'm going to give border top maybe 2, border top 2, and then we're going to set the border to white, and then we're going to give it opacity of 20%. That's for the border. And then we are going to check for the active category. We're going to check. Oops. All right, so let's check for the active. We're going to check active music category. If it's not equal to no, and then we're going to render a div. So if it's not equal to no, let's do a div here, like so. And then this div, let's give it maybe a padding of 3, something like that. So here's our border, and the songs are going to be here. So in this div, we are going to loop. We're going to select that active category and then map through the songs of that particular category. So to do that, we are going to use the curly braces curly braces in here. So we are going to do music categories, and then we are going to select the active category. Oops, 1 second. So active music category, and then .music, and then we're going to map, and then we're gonna get the song. We don't need the index, so let's just get the song, and then we're just gonna return here. We will just return a div. Since it's a list. Where did I get lost here? Music category. Okay, since it's a list, we need a key. We're going to use the ID of that particular song. All right, so this div, we are going to style this. That's padding X. We're going to set that to 1, and then we're going to set PY to 2, and then flex. We're going to item center, and we're going to set the gap to 2, and then cursor, we're going to set that to pointer, and then rounded MD, that's medium. So instead of cursor pointer, get rid of that, and then we can turn this into a button, like so. All right, so we should be able to show the title of the song in here. We are going to do something like, I don't know, song. Let's do, I'm thinking if we should just put a p tag, or let's do a span in here, and we're going to do song dot title, and then we're going to class name, and then we're going to set font semi-bold, and then we're going to set the text to white. Okay, so that's for the, actually text SM for smaller screens, and then for bigger screens, we're going to set text to base, like that, text SM. So we should see the list of the songs. So there's the list of the songs here. Okay, but we cannot click on these songs yet. So let's work on that. So div. Okay, oh, this is a button. So we are going to do on click. Oops. On click, like so. And then we're going to set song index. We are going to do a callback function in here. And then we're going to return. We're going to do music categories. And then we're going to select the active music category. And then .music, we're going to find the index. Music category .music. We're going to find the index of the song. Okay. Find index. So it's going to also take a callback function. So song. And then we're going to return song.id. If song ID matches the current song ID. Song.id, like so. Or it's just going to be 0. Where's the issue here? It's not a standard type number. Argument type. Return number. Okay, so I'll remove this. Wait a minute. Type of number. Did you mean this expression? Song ID. Oh, song ID is actually a string. I'm sure song ID is a string. Let's see. Song index. Song ID. Let's see what song ID is. music categories. Okay, so we're using UUID, return, active music category defined index, song ID, so song ID. Why is it complaining? Okay, let's see if it's working nonetheless. We'll fix the TypeScript issues. Yeah, it's working. It's selecting the song. Yeah, it's selecting the songs. Okay, we are going to fix this type issue here in a minute. Okay, so now we have the song index. Let's see what else we need. I think we just need the styles now, because these styles, they don't look great. So instead of, let's use some template literals in here. Where is the $sign? Okay, so here we are just going to check the song index. We're going to check music categories. We're going to check we're going to do the same thing again. We're going to find the index. We're going to find the index, the same thing we've done. And then we're going to give it BG. We're going to set to white 15, and then ring 1, and then ring white 30. Opacity, we're going to set to 100, and then opacity like this. And then we're going to set text white, and then opacity is 80 for the rest of the text elements, like that. Okay, but I'm just going to get rid of the opacity here. So we have ring 1 text. We should set it to white. Text white. Okay, so text white. So for the active one, oh, let's see what we're doing wrong. So we're going to check for the active song. The BG is this one, background color. And then we're going to set ring white to 30. And then text is going to be white. Otherwise, we're going to set text white to 80%. Okay, so let's see why it's not. That's weird. BG text white, ring 1. Oops, text white, ring 1. That's odd. Let's see why it's not working. All right, so for some reason, there's an issue with the text. We are going to fix that in a minute. Text SM. Let's inspect this. Okay. We are going to fix this in a minute, but for now, we can select the songs, which is good. But we want the width to, let me see the original. Yeah, we want the width to be 100%. So let's see. Gap. We've set the padding. We can set width to full. So width is going to be 100%. So as you can see, it's covering the width 100%. All right. Font semi-bold, text SM. Let's see if we do H3. All right. For the top, P3. P3. So this is the item. Actually, here we might wanna display flex this. So active category p3 flex core flex column, and then we're going to set gap to 2. Yeah, let's give it a bit of gap. And p3 for this one is fine, but px it's fine. But let's do py, let's set that to 2. Yeah, that should be fine. Yeah, the only thing that's not working properly is the white text. I have no idea why it's not working properly. Let's try red, and I'm just testing out to see why it's not working properly. Okay, it seems to be working properly, but there's something going on with the opacity. Oh, here, remove the opacity here. There shouldn't be opacity here. Okay, so yeah, it should be working fine now. All right, we can change. Okay, yeah, we can change the playlist, but now we need to work on the custom scroll bar. Let's go to, remember we've put the class name custom scroll bar here. Let's go to index CSS. I'm just going to stop the music, and let's paste the class name here. To do a custom scroll bar, we're going to do WebKit. Oops. WebKit scroll bar, like so. I'm going to set the width to 5 pixels, and then we're going to do the scroll bar track, and then background, we're going to set that transparent, and then we need the thumb track, and then let's do thumb. So this one, we are going to set a background color of RGB, which is 0.55, so which is 50% of opacity, and the color is going to be black, and border radius, you can set that to 100%, like so. That's for the thumb. And then when we hover, we're just going to set the background opacity to 0.75. So let's hover, and nothing happens. Okay, now let's open up. Okay, so the custom scroll bar seems to be not working yet. So let's do also body overflow hidden. So this is for later. Overflow hidden. All right, so it should be custom scroll bar, by the way. Custom scroll bar, like that. And I'm going to copy this and change the name, and we should have a custom scroll bar working. Yeah, so it's not showing, which is odd. Custom scroll bar. All right, seems to be not showing again. Custom scroll bar, transparent. So I'm just double checking to see if there's a typo somewhere. Okay, so yeah, this should be scroll bar here. Okay, so yeah, so here's our custom scroll bar. Actually, not 100%, it should be, I think, 50%. No, let's leave it back at 100 pixels. I think that would do, yeah. 100 pixels, yeah. So yeah, we can open up the playlist, and that's changing here. We can select the songs. Yeah, it's working fine. And yeah, I'll see you on the next video. We're going to be working on the sound effects control. We're going to be controlling the volumes of the effects and fix any bugs that we have. I'll see you in the next video. Okay, so let's fix this typing issue here first before we go anywhere. So my bad. So we're not supposed to get to do a callback function in here. So get rid of the return, and also get rid of this here. Okay, so this should do it. All right, so the only issue is set me show music panel. We can get rid of that. Set show music panel. We can get rid of that in here as well. So what is it looking for? Set show music panel. Music panel, save that. Okay, so let's get rid of that in here. Oops. Set show music panel, get rid of that in here as well. All right, so the issues should disappear. So let's open up the panel. Seems like there's a bit of a glitch when we open the panel for the first time, but we're going to fix that later. Yeah, so now let's do the SFX control. Let's create a component for that. So let's see, SFX control. Let's go to components, and we're going to create a new component, and we're going to create a functional component, and we're going to export that. We're going to going back to the app directory, and we are going to render that inside the app. So maybe after the music panel, we're going to render this in here. All right, so for the control panel, we also need show music. Actually, no, we need the show SFX control. We also need, let's see, what else do we need? Let's do an interface first. Control panel, SFX. Let's do interface for the props. Props. All right, so in here, we need the music panel. Actually, not music panel, SFX control panel. So we need the show SFX control panel, and we need set show SFX control panel, and it's going to return void, and we're going to display that. So down here, we need to pass that as a prop, set show SFX control panel. All right, so we have the state passed down. Now we need to showcase that control panel. So we're going to do the same thing that we've done with the panel ref. We've done the same thing in the music panel. So we have a ref. All right, so the class name is basically the same thing that we've done for the music panel. I'm just going to paste in the class name. So width for smaller screens is 75, same thing for the panel. And then this should be 107.5 for the bigger screens. And then height, this is 125 for bigger screens, 125. And then this one is going to be 18 for smaller screens. And then for bigger screens, it's going to be 24. 24. Okay, and then the transition is going to be the transformation. Okay, so transition, transform. All right, so we have the SFX panel. Let's see if it's working. So click. Oh, this is the original one. So click. Okay, so there's still a glitch. So let's go to where's music panel transition. This should be, let's try transform. Let's see if it's working. Okay, it's working when it's coming in, but when it's closing, seems like there's a major issue. Okay, we are going to fix that. For now, let's leave it at O. All right, so let's go back to the music panel, to the SFX control panel. For some reason, it's not showing. Oh, okay, but it's not showing though. Let's see the buttons, selector buttons. Yeah, so this should be SFX control, set, show music panel to false. Yeah, this should already work. All right, let's keep moving forward. let's go to the, oh, actually, I think I know why. We need to do the same thing with a Z. Let's set that to 50. Okay, so yeah, it's showing the panels. Now it's exchanging the panels. Okay, so the next thing, we are going to do a div in here, and then we're going to have an h2. This is going to have a text LG for for smaller screens, and then text to XL for bigger screens. And then we're going to have a P of 3, and then we're going to have another div, which is going to showcase a list of the controls. So we have the title, and then the control with the sliders. All right. So what we're going to do, we're going to map through SFX data. That's the sound effects. And then we're going to map through each sound effect, SFX. And then we're going to return, for now, let's just return a div. But we're going to create a component called SFX control. That's sound effects control, TSX, functional component, export. And then we're just going to render that in here. Return SFX control, no, SFX control, not panel, just control. All right, so we have that SFX control sorted. All right, so we have the key, which is set to the ID because it's a list. By the way, my margin top and bottom is 2. For bigger screens is 4, and then flex is going to be in a column. All right, so this is the original. So let's go to this one. So here you can see a list of effects here. Okay, so we have a list of effects showing. Now let's work on the actual control item. So we are going to do interface props. So we are going to have SFX sound effect. So we are going to use the sound effect type, which has ID, name, and the source of the audio. All right. So in here, we are going to have some state for each individual item. So we are going to have the volume state, set volume, and let's set that to 0 actually. So the volume is going to be 0 on initial render. All right. So we also need the audio ref, which is going to be the HTML audio element, and we need to import ref from React. All right. So we are going to display as a grid columns. We're going to have 2 columns, 120 pixels and 1 FR. So the first column is going to occupy 120 pixels, and then the next column is going to occupy the remaining width. All right. So for bigger screens, it's going to be different. So for bigger screens, we're going to occupy 150 pixels and the remaining width, and items, we're going to center the items. All right. So no changes yet to see because there's nothing yet. And then we're going to have an H3 in here. It's going to be sound effect dot name. So it seems like we have an issue here, which I don't know where it's coming from. So let's see. Let's inspect name. Okay, SFX dot name. Yeah, but why is it cannot read undefined of name? That's weird. Sound effect. That is weird. Oh, because we're not passing the sound effect in here. So we need to pass in the SFX. Okay, so we pass that data. So we should be able to see the sound effect. So the next thing that we want to work on is the audio itself. So remember, we need audio ref. So audio, and then we pass in the ref of audio ref. Okay, and it's going to loop sound because it's a sound effect. It's going to start again from the beginning. All right, it's not going to be self-closing. we can put the source in here. Source, whoops, remove the source here. We can put source, and then we put the source, and then the type is going to be audio MPG, and then you can type in your browser does not support the audio element. All right, so now we should have the sounds, but we don't have the controls yet for these effects. So we are going to use that slider that we have before. So div, let's give a class name. Flex1 is going to occupy the remaining width, the entire remaining width. It's actually, we don't need to do flex1 here, by the way, so never mind. We can just show the slider. So import slider from material, and then we're going to self close the tag, and then value is going to be volume, like that. Okay, so as you can see, but nothing happens because we don't have the use effect for this. So on change, we are not going to be using this event here, but we are going to set the volume to whatever. We're going to set the volume to the new value. Okay, and then we're just going to check if audio ref to current, if the current audio, and then here we are going to do audio ref to current to volume. We're going to do new value as number, and then we're going to divide by 100 because this is up to 100. The volume is 0 to 1, so this one is 0 to 100, so that's why we're dividing here. And then audio ref the current, and then we're going to play, and then we're just going to catch the error if there's an error. Okay, so we're going to play the audio if we have the audio, and then finally muted audio ref dot muted, we're going to set that to false. Okay, so we should be able to play. Okay, so sounds are playing, as you can see. Sounds are playing, but what we want to do now, we want to style the sliders, and then we're going to do the use effect for our volumes. So remember, the prop for styles is SX, and then it's going to take in an object in here, and then we're going to give it a color and height. And remember, we've done this before, so I'm just going to reuse that style. We can copy that from, I believe, the volume. If you go to the volume, copy that, and then we paste the same style. Oops. Remove this SX and then paste. If you go to the volume, it's the same thing we're doing here. All right, so same sliders, working fine. So now we just need to do the use effect whenever the volume is changed. Okay, so we're going to trigger whenever the volume is changed. I'm going to check if audio ref to current, and then audio ref to current to volume divided by 100. All right, sweet. This should do it. So yeah, fire, it's all working. Brainstorm, it's all working. It's looking pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the sound effects. The next video, we're just going to fix some remaining bugs. And yeah, the audio plays. You can put sound effects. You can switch the song. You can change the scene. For some reason there's an issue here which we need to fix. Okay, we'll fix this on the next video. I shall see you in the next video where we're going to fix some bugs. Okay, so now we are going to fix some of the bugs that we have. So if I try to select a scene, there seems to be a flash of red light in here. So let's fix that. It's actually the red background color that we've put earlier as a placeholder. This one here, we can get rid of that. And yeah, that should work. It shouldn't show a red flash anymore. And the other thing that we are looking for, so here for the panels, when I open up the panels, when I click anywhere on the screen, it's not closing the screen. So let's fix that. We are going to create a hook. So let's create a folder, hooks. Let's name it use click outside, use click outside. So when we click outside of an element, it's going to close something. So let's do const. We can do use click outside, and it's going to take in the ref, okay, which is the ref object, and it's going to take in. Let's do a set state here. Set state. Okay, so for the set state, the value is going to be type boolean set state, and what else? Maybe enabled. Okay, so by default, it's going to be enabled. Let's see where we're going wrong. So set state value, and this one should be returning void, and then we have enabled. Yeah, so that's what we want, and then we just want to export default here. Use click outside. Yeah, that's the name of the function, and then we're going to use a use effect in here, and then this is not going to execute if we don't have if it's not enabled. We are not going to execute whatever we have here, which is this use effect. So it's code conditionally. This is just some linting stuff. It's actually, this should be in here in the use effect itself. Okay, so we are going to do handle. We're going to create a function to handle when we click. So let's do pointer down, and we're going to take in the event, and then we're going to check if ref.current. Actually, if we're going to check if ref.current and not ref.current, if it doesn't contain the element that we click on, and then we're going to set state to false. And then we're going to do document.add event listener handle pointer down, and then we're going to do a cleanup for the event and get rid of the event listener. Okay, so we're going to check the current ref, whatever we're selecting. Okay, if it doesn't contain the current element, we're going to close. For example, if I click, so this is the current ref element. If whatever I click on doesn't contain this ref element, it's going to set the state to false, like here. So if it doesn't contain the ref element here, it's going to set it to false. So that's what we want to do. It's basically closing whatever we click. Whenever we click outside, we want to close the state. Okay, so we are going to go here, and then we're going to do use detect outside. This name of the hook. Use detect. Use click outside. Actually, that's the name. Use click outside. Click outside, and then it's going to take in the panel ref. This one here. Okay. So what is it complaining about now? Oh no. HTML. Why is it complaining? Okay. Control panel. I don't know why it's complaining. Argument type, ref objects. It's not assignable to ref object, HTML element. Okay, div element. Okay, let me see HTML element. Okay, HTML element. Okay, let's set it to HTML element then. It's still gonna complain. HTML div element. Yeah, is this a div? But why is this still complaining though? HTML element. I don't know why it's complaining. Anyways, we should be able to see that functionality working now. When I open up the sound control, as you can see, when I click anywhere on the screen, it's closing. We need to do the same thing for the music panel. Where's the music panel? Music panel. There it is. Okay, so in the music panel, we are gonna do click outside, import. So this should be panel ref. Yeah, it's already set. Set show music panel. Okay, show music panel. We need to put that. I'm not sure if it's already put in the app. Set show music panel. Yeah, we put that. So now let's open up. And it's closing when we click anywhere on the screen. Yeah, that's what we want. That's cool. We need to do the same thing for the SFX, for the volume control. But for the fade, I don't know why it's complaining again. This is the linting issue, but it's fine here. Volume control. All right, so for the volume control, we need to do the same thing. Oops. SFX control, use click outside. So outside. So this should be wrapper, ref, and then mobile open and mobile slider open. So this is for the mobile. So when I go to small screens, I need to refresh for some reason. Oh, I don't know why it's not covering. We need to fix this. It should cover the entire height. Okay, we're gonna fix that in a minute. And then, yeah, so that's it for the mobile. Let me see. Okay, yeah, when I click, it's opening up the sound. That's good. The other thing, let's see what we want. Player controls. So next song. Actually, I made a mistake here. There should be this set is playing. Yeah, should be outside, not inside. I think I'd put it inside here. It should be outside, and then next song. So this is not hosted. Let's put it at the top. Let's put it here. All right, so that should disappear. All right, so with pre song. So the next issue that we want to fix is, let's see. Okay. It's closing. I want it to open up. So like this. I want it to switch like this. Okay. So the thing is, let's see. So we have the panel. I'm just looking for any issues that we might have. Okay. That's weird. Because it should switch like this. That's what we are looking for. But it's closing. I think I know why, because there's some event bubbling somewhere, which we need to find to see where that is. Player controls. I think these buttons here. Let's look at the buttons. Selector buttons. Selector buttons. Okay, so here on this parent here, let's stop event propagation on pointer down. Pointer down. We're gonna take the event object e.stop propagation. Yeah, that's the name. Okay, so yeah, it's working now as we expect. All right, it's switching. Okay, so yeah, it's working. I don't know if there's any bugs. Actually, the full screen thing. So let's check it out. Insert 0. Fixed. Let me check which component is this. Okay, so insert 0. All right, so fixed video ref, video ref. All right, so insert 0. Oh, this should be just 0, no 00, 0. All right, so now it's full screen. It should work as we expect. Okay, yeah, so we can play on mobile. Oh, we haven't fixed the mute. That's what we need to fix right now. Let's see why it's not muting. Okay, I forgot that in the player controls, we're not changing this volume here. We're not doing anything with it. So we need to do some form of a use effect. Let's do it here. Yeah, that was one thing that was missing. And we are going to listen for the volume and also is muted. All right, so because we want to be able to mute. Okay, so let's save that. So now I'm going to check the current. If audio ref to current, I'm actually going to check if we don't have the current, we're just going to return. So we're not going to execute anything underneath. So if we do, we're going to do audio ref to current, and then dot volume, and then we are going to check if we're muted, if it's muted, and then the volume is going to be 0. Otherwise, we're going to divide volume divided by 100, because the volume for the audio is between 0 to 1. So we're going to divide by 100. Okay, so we should be able to do the volume now. Let's play the song. Yeah, we can mute. We can play song. We can increase volume. Mute. So we can't mute on mobile, but if I go on bigger screens, when I click, it's gonna mute. When I unclick, it's gonna unmute. We can mute and unmute. It's working fine, and we can go full screen. It's looking good on mobile as well. We can go next. We can change scenes. So working fine. Yeah, so if you have any questions, you can email me with any questions you have. If you have any suggestions, you can email me. If there's any issues, just let me know through my email. Go to the contact section and look through how to contact me. And yeah, I'll see you on the next video.